Okay, so this time we're going to talk about the second part of what was kind of a two-part question last time we got together. The first part being, is or would Jesus be a Republican? No. And the second part being, should every Christian be a Republican? So the short answer I gave last week, I'll repeat this week, or this time. No. But it got me thinking, and I want to kind of talk about labels more than anything else. I imagine there are Christians of every stripe across the country. Probably some Christian Republicans, probably some Christian Democrats, probably some Christians who align themselves with the Tea Party. There are probably some Christians who don't vote or who abstain from the political scene altogether. There are probably Christians who support the wars we get into, and there are probably Christians who are complete pacifists. We're going to leave all that alone for now. But I did want to talk about why there is such a need in modern American Christianity to label, why we're motivated and driven by labeling other people, and then once we've labeled them, using that label to dictate how we treat them and how we behave around them. Sounds pretty good, right? So I think here's what lies at the heart of our desire to label. Well, I think there are two things. I think one, fear, which we talked about a little bit last time, and secondly, control, which if you think about it, I think the need to control is almost always sort of born from some latent fear. We want to put a label on someone so we can decide if they are for us or against us. And then once we've decided if they're for us or against us, we can then decide what we need to do to either win them to our side or completely defeat their side. The problem with that is, well, in my opinion, is I don't think we see that type of language or type of behavior from Jesus or even from the early followers of Jesus. Jesus talks not about winning so much as he does about losing and surrendering and sacrificing and putting other people before ourselves and not being so worried about what we have or what we're going to get or if people like our opinion, and more about making sure that folks around us have the things they need, irrespective of the person for whom they voted. This ties in for me, one of the things that really kind of bothers me is this notion, particularly on the political landscape as far as evangelicals and Christians today go, this idea of winning and then of acquiring for ourselves power. Again, back to the issue of control. It appears, you would think, if you were just watching from afar, that people in the Christian church in America believe that if we get for ourselves enough political power, we will then be able to do the things that Jesus called us to do. The problem with that, well, again, in my opinion, don't trust this man, but in my opinion, the problem with that is Jesus doesn't really call his followers to win. He calls his followers to relinquish. So it's odd to me that we would seek in this country, and I'm painting with a very broad brush, so extend me a little bit of grace there, but it would appear that we are attempting to hoard for ourselves power and status and all these things that I think if we understand what Jesus said, he's to tell us to get rid of. I don't know. So should every Christian be a Republican? I think the question, in a weird way, is not moot. It's not necessary. Every Christian should be a lover. We should love. Every Christian should look for ways to be kind to our enemies. Every Christian should look for ways to use the things at our disposal to make people's lives around us better. Every Christian should acknowledge their own greed and avarice and thirst for power and glory and fame and lay those things at the foot of the cross. Every Christian should eat Krispy Kreme. No, see? That doesn't work, does it? It sounds silly. Every Christian should wear a fancy hat. Every Christian should walk with their left foot first when they leave the house in the morning. It's not really us against them. That's not really the point. If anything, you could make the argument that at one point in cosmic history, it was us against God. And then God said, no more. We are at peace. And so if I'm at peace with God, why should I be at enmity with anybody else around me? Oh, enmity, right? Put that one up, flash it. So anyway, to Corey in this whole fam, thank you for these questions. Something for us to talk about. And as I think you'll see when we finish this up on the screen, anything you want to talk about, anything you'd like for me to kind of speak to, share it. Nothing off limits. Well, that's not true. Nearly nothing off limits, and everything will be up for consideration. Thanks for coming by. Don't trust this man. Really appreciate it. Bye.
Wanted to get that whole text it.